Hi, Hugh. Welcome to the Positive People Show. How are
Thank you.
you?
It's great to be on. Thanks for inviting me.
You're very, very welcome. It is just brilliant to see you here and have you on the Positive People Show. Now, everybody, I've known Hugh Hegarty for a while. He is a wise man, as I described him when I was putting out about the Positive People Show. And he's brilliant. We've known him. How long have I known you now, Hugh? Quite a few years, maybe.
Well, that was quite a few years. We initially got together through NLP, from what I remember. So it's quite a few years, all right.
It's quite a few years. I think it might have even been before that, because you were doing with Reiki with a friend of ours, a mutual friend, Sinead Lynch. And
right.
You were doing your Reiki, and then I think I met you through that, and then we became connected through NLP, and the rest is history. So I've known you quite a while, and I am delighted to have you here on the Positive People Show today. So just if anybody's watching who doesn't know me, I'm Denise Devlin from Positive Parties Train with a Difference, and that's a coaching and training company, and we deliver workshops promoting positive mental health and positive mental attitude in a unique party style environment using NLP, CBT and positive psychology. And we've been doing stuff online called our Access Our Positivity Palette during the whole lockdown, but now we're back out there, just as what companies and staff teams need at the minute, connecting people and getting them together and doing it in a positive way, and obviously doing it in the fun party style that we do. So that's me. So Hugh, because it's Men's Health Week, I thought this was just an ideal time to have you on the Positive People Show, right? Because you have just been through so much, and then you've come out the other end and you just inspire so many people. You've set up the MEND, which is a men's group, isn't it? Talking about, you know, mental health. And you really have, you know, got the t-shirt to set up that group. And as you said, now you've done what any inspiring leader does. You've set that group up, you've nurtured it, and now the men are running this by themselves. But I just think it would be lovely if you could give people a background to how you came to help men talk about the feelings, talk about mental health, and just give a bit of background about how you came to do this now, because you're just such an inspiration.
No problem at all. Well, my story is no real secret. I've quite openly spoken about it quite often. My family know all about it, which is the most important thing, really. I think that the hardest part was telling my daughters initially what I'd gone through, because at the time I was at my lowest. Two of them were very, very young. One of them hadn't even been born. So my journey with poor mental health started in the mid to late 90s. My father died in 1994. Now, I know people would sort of favor one parent over another, whether it's right or wrong. It does happen. And I was closer to my father. I really looked up to my father. My father was my hero, really. It actually saved my life a few times. And sort of, there was a real close bond there, so much so that whenever I left school, all I ever wanted to do was work in the family business and work for my father and work with my father. From the age of 14, I was working weekends and school holidays with him. And then whenever I got to school leaving age, I left school and joined the family business full time. But whenever I was 18 then, I broke my ankle and I was unable to work for a few weeks. Well, it would have been, realistically, it should have been 6 weeks off, but it didn't turn out that way. Because during the time I was off with a broken ankle, my father took sick. And there was a load of coal needed delivered. It was December, it was the winter time, and people were depending on the coal. So I went out then and delivered the coal with a broken ankle, drove the coal lorry, and ended up with a plaster parasol for an additional 6 weeks, let's say. So it was too long. But even during that time, I knew my father wasn't well, but I actually really thought it would just bounce back. And it was then that we found out he had a hereditary heart disease. He had taken a stroke at that stage, and we thought that he would still come back a bit, and he did come back. His health improved slightly, but in 1992 he took multiple strokes in, and his heart started weakening more and more, and he died at the end of May in 94. So his anniversary was 27 years there just a few weeks ago. it left a massive void in my life.
Yeah.
It really ripped me apart. And, you know, although I was married and I had 2 daughters at the time, it just, nothing really seemed to matter as much to me anymore. And I went into a dark hole. Now, in the 90s and even still today, men don't talk about their feelings.
Right.
I've been brought up with this concept of big boys don't cry, bury your feelings and get on with it, man up. And that's wrong. It's totally wrong, because men should cry. Men should express their feelings. Men should talk about how they're feeling, but we don't. And because of that, I didn't go to a doctor. I wasn't formally diagnosed as being depressed, but I knew I was. And looking back now, I was really badly depressed. I went to work and put on a brave face. And once I came in at night and closed the door, I was a totally, totally different person. It must have been horrible to live with. My wife never ever talked to me about that, but I can just only imagine that it was horrible to live with. But my next stage then was getting real clarity in my mind and real peace in my mind, because I had made the decision to end my life. And for me, that it was an amazing sense of calm, real amazing sense of calm, and a sense that my pain would then be over. I didn't think about the pain of the people I was leaving behind. I didn't think about my family. I didn't think about anyone else. And yes, a lot of people will say that's selfish, but to me at that time, it wasn't selfish. It was the only way that I knew to end the pain. Looking back now, I didn't want to end my life. I just wanted the pain to stop, and this was the only way I could see it. So on the very first time that I went to complete suicide, we were just chatting about this, and I met a guy who I knew was in a low mood as well and planning to do something similar. And I talked him out of it, and I talked him around. And to this day, me and him still laugh and talk about that. You know, we meet up on a regular basis. But it hadn't changed my mind.
Right.
I still wanted to go ahead and do what I had set out to do, but I had my own plan set out for where and I wanted to do it and how I wanted to do it. And because I've been talking to this guy for so long, where I wanted to go, I couldn't access it. So I had to come back then and go another day to do it. So the second day I went to do it, what I should say is whenever I left the house on both occasions, I never even said goodbye. I was just such a high, I just walked out because I knew my pain was going to be over. And it was the best I had felt for a long, long time. And looking back on that, it's a sad feeling now, thinking about how I would have felt at that stage. But I went ahead and I got to where I was going to happen. And the only reason I didn't do it was I got an apparition or a vision of my father in front of me. And I realised how disappointed he would have been in me if I had went ahead with what I'd done. And I actually broke down then and I cried real hard. And that was the turning point for me.
Right.
It wasn't anything to do with my own family or friends or any revelation. It was just the fact that my father would have been disappointed in me. And the very reason that I'd felt so low was a loss of my father. So, you know, it was sort of the loss of my father got me so low, but the fact that he would have been disappointed in me totally transformed my way of thinking. So I realized quickly then that I needed to start changing the way I was acting and reacting to different situations and how I was processing information, and didn't know what to do. Didn't know how to change that. Still didn't want to talk to anyone. Still didn't want to go to a doctor. So started looking then at how I could bring myself around. And I got involved in personal development. I started doing some courses, reading some books, and they were all great. But what I quickly found out was whenever you stopped reading the books and stopped practicing what was in the books, everything started to slide again. So for me, then I realized that it wasn't a quick fix. It was a complete life transformation I needed, not just a quick fix. So I kept on reading different books and more about personal development and how to change your attitude, change your mind, change your thought process. And one of the books mentioned NLP. The very first time I read about NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. I thought it was just another form of personal development, and just it was all the same stuff in a different guise.
Yeah.
So I didn't give it too much thought initially, but it kept recurring, kept coming up and coming up. So I looked more into it, and I thought, right, sort of drew me in. So I looked at proper courses, we're becoming properly trained in it, and I went and I became practitioner, master practitioner, and part of the NLP training is hypnotherapy, and I went on and became an instructor in hypnotherapy. But while I was doing this was my own journey for me. It wasn't for anyone else. But I realized that by learning all this and being able to change my thought process from a really dark place to being really happy, then surely I'd be able to help others do the same. And I started looking at helping others, and I had quite a successful business at the time. I had quite a few lorries on the road doing drain and sewer cleaning. I had loads of employees, and things were going well, but I wasn't happy doing that business. I was happiest helping people. So I made a decision to close the business, and got those that were entitled to their redundancy, got them paid their redundancy, and most of them started new jobs then on the Monday. I closed the business on a Friday. They had new jobs on the Monday. I was sitting there with no real job, but I was happy. And for me, that's what did it.
What did you do then?
I started working more and more with people, helping people.
Okay. Right.
And I started making a living from that. But then I built up a bit of a reputation doing some of the talks for likes of Gary Doherty and Liam O'Neill. I've done some talks for Liam. Liam's another good friend of ours, and I've done some talks for Liam as well. I was teaching hypnotherapy, and I was seeing clients both online and face to face. And then I got involved in business development and business mentorship, simply because of the background I had.
Right.
And I just kept developing it from that. And then, of course, started then looking around my own city here in Derry, and at that time there was a spate of young male suicides.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of people talking about what they were going to do and what they could do, and I just put up a post. Now, the initial idea came from a good friend of mine, Jason Cameron, in Buncrana, and he started off. He put a few posts out in Buncrana asking men just to meet up in a cafe for a cup of coffee and a chat, peer support. Right. I thought it was a real good idea. So I contacted Jason and asked him if he would mind if I did that in Derry, and he was delighted that I would take the idea and run with it. So I just put a post out saying I was going to be in a certain cafe on a Wednesday evening from 7 to 9 for men only, simply to get men talking to the people who were in like-minded situations and find out how they had overcome certain issues, how they got past certain problems, and how they were coping with life in general at the minute. And it wasn't anything specific. It wasn't coaching. It wasn't counseling. It was peer support. It was people that had been through and were still going through these experiences, helping each other. And it was men coming together to talk, have a cup of coffee, and if they didn't want to talk, they could listen to other people, hear their experiences, and maybe pick up something from that. And
so, do you know what I just come in there, Hugh? So, what was it like the first week? Did people turn up? You know, or was it just you and some of the friends sitting there? Did people actually, because you kind of think men would hold back, like if you said to a woman, come on out to a cafe and we'll talk about stuff and we'll have a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, the woman would all be flying, you know, going, yeah, let's do that. But with men, they hold back. So tell us about that first week, and then how did it grow?
Men do hold back, but I did know that before I even turned up on a Wednesday evening, I knew at least 3 people that were going to be there because they contacted me personally. And on the first night, I think there was 5 people.
Right.
At its height, and those 5 people still come on a regular basis.
Wow.
And it grew and it grew and it grew. And at its height, I think there was, on one evening, there was 26 people there. But on average, there still would be 6, 7, up to 10 people per evening. Now, my intention always was to empower the men to take it on and run it themselves. You know, it wasn't mine. It never was mine. It was never about me. It was about helping men empower themselves and build a peer support system. And that's what they've done. You know, they started back last night in a different cafe, different evening, different cafe, because you know they want to change it about to suit more people, which is great. So I don't always have to be there. I do, or I will drop in again from time to time, and hopefully be there whenever they do need all our support. But I'm always within the group. There's an online WhatsApp group that we were talking as well. I'm always within the group, interacting whenever I can. I do have other things ongoing at the moment. I can't devote them as much time as what I did previously, but I do like to keep in touch with it, with all the guys, and see how well they are doing. No one's ever going to say that that's everything for them now, that they're going to be okay. Because even personally, I still do get low days. And
of course we all do.
Yeah. But I've been trained. Yeah, exactly. But I've trained myself to recognize the signs, recognize the triggers, and to be able to pull myself back out of it quicker. And these guys are doing the same through the peer support. And it's great to watch and it's great to see.
So what kind of, through all your experience of doing your, you know, your NLP and your hypnosis and your energy healing with Reiki, and then of course you're like, we have to talk about you and your marathons, like your you know, your physical health and well-being. So what do you, if you're coming in to start and setting up the men group, like what advice were you giving the men?
Well, yeah, definitely exercise being one. Now, there are some men in there who have an older generation whose physical abilities would not be the same as some of the younger guys. So we did talk about doing some walking groups and things like that. Now, even the older generations, in the gas yard here in Derry, there are fitness programs for them, and they did join that. So that there are facilities out there for all levels and all abilities. And we talked about the benefits of exercise. You know, if you look at what GPs have been doing over the past couple of years in the social prescribing, the likes of walking groups and going to the gyms and things like that, they are recognizing that physical exercise does help. Probably is why I did start running. And I do enjoy the running. And I've got 2 marathons coming up in October this year, one in London and one in Dublin. Wow. I've got a half marathon in Larne. And it's great to see that now that these running events are opening up again. I was supposed to be training this week, but I've had to take a step back this week because one of my other hobbies that I've just started recently is sailing.
All right, that's right. I remember you telling me about that. Brilliant.
Yeah, but we were out at the weekend and we were sailing the Tory. And we got caught out in a bit of a rough sea and a rough wind.
Right.
And I'm a bit bruised. I've got 2 cracked ribs. And
oh, seriously? Oh my God, you.
2 cracked ribs, and I've got bruises all over my legs. So I thought I'll just leave it this week and maybe get back at it on Saturday.
Jeez, and you kind of think sailing's like, oh, you know, you're out there, you're chilling. You're like, yeah, well, no, I know it's not like that, you know, when you have all that
when you're
work
out
to do.
in the North Atlantic, it's a wee bit different there.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing. So yeah,
great. I loved every second of it.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. Sailing to Tory, wow. So did you get there and back okay?
Oh, aye, we managed it.
About the bruises and the cracked ribs. My goodness. So back to the running, right? So when did you start the running? Were you doing the running before that time when, you know, you were depressed and you were down, and had you done the running? No.
No, I started the running in 2012 and it was towards the end of 2012. I said to my sister-in-law that I wanted to start getting fitter and doing a bit more physical exercise. Right. And she suggested the running. So we started off just doing run a mile, walk a bit, run a mile, walk a bit, that type of thing.
Yeah.
And it was in St. Collins Park here in Derry. And that was around September, October. And on Christmas Day, the running club that I am involved with, Foyle Valley Running Club, a great bunch of people under the instruction of Billy Orr, Tony Grant, and Benny Barber and Templemore. That's the group that I would train with. Absolutely three amazing coaches with great vision and great support, and they support everyone of all abilities in the group, and I just think that's amazing. So whenever I'd started running, I thought, right, I need to set targets, because in my life, that's what I do. I set targets, set goals, work my way towards them.
Brilliant.
So the Foyle Valley group usually have a Christmas Day run. And at that stage, it was a 10-mile run from Derry to Buncrana and then go into the water.
Right.
Okay, on Christmas morning. So that was my target, to get the 10 mile for that. And I did. I got the 10 mile and I did that. And whenever I had achieved that goal, the very next year, the Derry Marathon was starting up again. So I signed up to do that, and that was my first marathon. And just progressed from that. You know, yes, there's been times where I haven't been able to train, or times when I've drifted away from training for other reasons, but I do miss it when I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
And whenever I do get back at it, it really gives me a good buzz. And it doesn't matter whether it's rain, snow, hailstones, sunshine. You know, whenever the weather's really bad and you don't feel like going out, that's the best time to go.
Yeah, it does.
Because it builds something into you, that whenever things are tough, by pushing through and persisting through whatever it is, and persevering to get to your goal, it's going to build real good inner strength in you. Which will help you whenever you come up against other obstacles, that you know, right, well, I was able to do this, I'll transfer this skill over and I'll push through it, and I know I can get there.
Yeah, that's so, your NLP coming out there, Hugh. It's about doing that resilience, just keeping going. Yeah.
Oh, why?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I did it was 2 years ago I started the Couch to 5K, because I had this thing I couldn't run, because somebody told me at school, you can't run, long distance. I was really rubbish at this cross country, but I could do, the 100 meters or the 200 meters or the relay. So I thought I couldn't run. And then I just thought, you know what, I'm going to do this. So I got myself a good pair of running shoes for my birthday. I needed to get them for my birthday. And then I did the Couch to 5K, and I was just proud of punching myself, because run a minute, walk a minute, run a minute, walk a minute, And then I hurt my back about 6 weeks ago, and I haven't been able to get out again since. I'm still resting the back, and I feel frustrated, because I'm like, I'm busting to get out again, but I know. But
you will get back out.
Yeah.
But you know yourself that whenever that person told you that you couldn't run long distances, and you believe that, you were taking on their belief. That wasn't your belief.
I know, of course it wasn't. Limited belief, I know.
Aye.
Oh God.
So whenever we do take on other people's beliefs, that's when problems start.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of people's poor mental health starts. They start believing what other people are saying to them and about them, and it just escalates from there. Whenever people stop and start looking inwards at what they really believe about themselves and about the information they're giving themselves and how they can change that about, then they can do whatever they want in life. Absolutely anything at all.
Totally. So I'm just going to go back again now to the men's group, right? Because this is Men's Health Week. And I'm just saying about, the advice that you were giving them in the group, because I can't even remember then, did we get answered? We were talking about the physical, about the marathons and all.
Yeah.
But would you have talked as well, if you were given at the start, setting the group up, it was just talking, but would you have, planted the seeds about maybe meditation and things like that?
Yeah. Yeah. On the first evening, I talked to them about my story. Now, everybody's story is going to be different. And I told them about how I brought myself around from that. And yes, meditation is definitely a massive factor. I do meditate daily. For me, one of the guys on the first evening said that he can't seem to stop the anxiety, and he couldn't seem to stop the panic attacks. Well, the panic attacks is a lead on from the anxiety.
Yeah.
So whenever you take control of the anxiety by knowing what the triggers are, knowing what to do whenever they start, and how to fend it off, and build all those resilience and coping mechanisms in, when the panic doesn't happen. So we started off then with the breathing exercises, doing the box breathe. Breathe in for the count of 4, hold that breath for the count of 4, breathe out for the count of 4, and hold that out for the count of 4. Right. And that allows logic and reason to come back in. And once you're thinking logically and reasonably, then the anxiety starts to wane. And whenever you start thinking logically and reasonably, and the anxiety starts to wane, you're not going to go into a panic situation.
Yeah.
So it's about recognizing whenever you can. One of the things I did say to the men was, whenever you're doing a breathing exercises, practice at least 4 times a day, because whenever you need it, if you wait until you need it, you'll not remember, you'll not know what to do.
Okay.
Whenever you, like, it's the same way as we learn everything, it's repetition. Keep repeating it over and over and over until it becomes inbuilt in your subconscious mind.
Totally.
So repeat it over and over. And then whenever you do need it, your subconscious just clicks right in and the breathing starts automatically. And that's the way I've trained my mind. And whenever I do get anxious now, without me even consciously knowing it, I've started into the breathing.
Okay.
And the anxiety doesn't escalate.
And how would you do the breath then? Would you do that a few times? Like, so just show, if anybody's watching now and they're not too sure of that, can you just you do it with me and we'll do it. So what would you do then? So
inhale through your nose for the count of 4.
Right.
Hold that breath in for the count of 4. Exhale through your mouth for the count of 4. And hold that breath out for the count of 4. And then just repeat that process until you start feeling yourself calming down and starting to think logically and rationally again.
That's brilliant.
It doesn't, so for some people that may be 2-3 minutes, other people maybe 10 or 15 minutes.
Oh, okay.
But it doesn't matter, as long as you just do that, it will help.
So in for 4, I've heard of that before, like, because I haven't done it for a while. So in through the nose for 4.
The count of 4. Hold that for the count of 4. 3, 2, 1. Exhale for the count of 4. 3, 2, 1. Hold that out for the count of 4. 3, 2, 1. And just repeat the process.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Keep doing that.
Yeah, that's brilliant. So to have somebody like you there within a group, these men coming along for the first time, probably coming together and just having a chat about how they're feeling and talk with other male and feeling that connection, that I'm not the only one, that I'm not the only man that's feeling this way, that the women are able to usually get together and can have their chats and have their friends, but we don't do this. To be able, just, it must have been such a sense of relief to these men, like the shoulders down, like, wow, I can talk, and there's something about other people going through the same as you're going through. And then to have you there giving them some tips like that, you know, and pointing in the right direction, saying if you want to join a walking club, it's over here, or, you know, if anybody wants to start running, they're, you know, really easy. There's the, you know, I'm the running club, and, you know, this is some of the breathing, and just, you must have been amazing for them. And then coming in with your, you know, gently.
It was amazing for me too.
Sorry?
It was amazing for me too, watching them interact with each other, because, you know, on the first few weeks they were hanging on every word I said, and you know, waiting for tidbits from me of what to do and how to do it, and then watching them interact with each other, seeing new members come on board, and the members that have been there from the start, taking them under their wing, talking to them, getting through them how they can process the information and what to do, and the breathing exercises, and getting to the root cause of what the issue is and removing it. Oh, it was great to watch. Amazing. Great to watch it all.
And how long would you meet for? Like, how long would you?
Well, we met, it was 2 hours each Wednesday. It was from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. The group's still going, and it's still open for new members. You know, it's not a membership thing. It's people can drop in whenever they feel that they need it, and they don't have to come every week. They don't have to talk at all. They can just come and listen. There's no pressure at all. It's just, we're there. Come and join us if you want.
And what did you do then? Like, what happened during the whole lockdowns? How did people manage them?
Well, the guys were talking online. They were talking through the WhatsApp groups, and they were still chatting then. Obviously, they couldn't meet up, and we were respected the legalities around the COVID restrictions. But they were talking online. They were still keeping interacting with each other, helping each other out, and it was great to watch that as well. Of course, I did what I'm doing now. I did take a step back, let them do their interaction, kept an eye on it, and whenever I needed it, or whenever they had questions for me, I interacted with them then as well.
Brilliant.
The whole idea is they let the men be empowered. You know, if I was there all the time now, well, then there would still be, some of them would still be hanging on to every word I'm saying, and looking for me to guide them. Whereas that's not empowering them.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
You know, they can empower each other, and help each other through it.
That's community development in its essence, really, like, which would have
Yeah.
been that was my forte. Well, when I left, graduated and all, went into community development, and that's what I did in Edinburgh and then back in Belfast, you know. So I love that, just empowering people. And then it's just to see the way people grow and the way they just like come out of their shells. These people who you knew that were shy, who were felt that they had nothing to offer the world, the next thing are standing up. And you know, when I was community development, they'd be standing up in the middle of the AGM giving a talk saying, you know, what we've done this past year, and you're like, oh my goodness, you came here a couple of years ago and you sat in the back seat and, you know, you didn't even speak. And it's just, that's just, oh, it gives me goosebumps when you see people develop like that. It's amazing. But I suppose we all do that. Like, it's like every master was once a beginner.
Of course.
You know, when the rest of us, we all start, and we're always learning. Like, every day is a school day. We're learning every single day, new things every day.
And as I said earlier on, I'm involved currently with a group with Liam O'Neill, and it's been great watching some of those people within that group as well, and seeing them growing and developing. Some real amazing people in that group, real special people. Like, I've made some real good friendships, ones that I know will last forever.
Oh, that's brilliant. And that's what it is about, being about inspirational people, isn't it? That's why positive people, that's why I love doing this show. Because I talked about it about a year and a half ago, and I was like, I must set up the Positive People show. And then I hadn't got round to it, and there was something holding me back. And then it was about 2 months ago, I decided, right, I'm just going to do this. And I didn't have a wee fancy cover at the start or something at the end, which my daughter's maybe that now, and we upload that when I do it on YouTube. But I thought, no, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it. And it's been amazing having all these wonderful, you know, friends and connections I've made along the way of people who I know are inspiring, who are positive. And not to say that we're all, as I keep saying, Winnie the Poohs all the time, you know. You know, everybody's been here, everybody still has their Eeyore days and their grumpy days and they're feeling down. But we know what we can do to get us back to, like, Winnie the Pooh lives in the present moment. He's in the now. Yeah. And, you know, it's hard to do that, but at least when you're aware and you know that, that's what we want to do. So having the people like yourself on the show and all the lovely guests I've had so far, it's just been amazing. And I feel so honored and privileged to have friends like you guys that are all coming on the show that I've met throughout the years, and these lovely connections.
And we're all privileged to be asked as well.
Oh, thanks you. It's brilliant, it really is. But the lovely thing is, everybody always tells their story that they've had, that they're not just coming on saying, hey, I'm totally positive all the time. This is where I've been. This is, you know, my journey. This is where I'm going. This is how I'm helping people, because all the people that I have on to are helping people and inspiring people. And everybody's saying as well, yeah, I still have dippy days, you know, but now I have the tools to turn me around.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And as I said, I've got a lot of different things ongoing at the minute. And one of the things is, at the start of COVID, a lot of people were finding financial difficulties, and a lot of businesses were closing down and that. So, as I said, being a business mentor, I needed to find something that would keep people going. And since the start of COVID until now, I have started a group that has reached almost 3,000 people who have changed their financial futures, and it's absolutely amazing. You know all about it because you're part of it as well. Like, so it's great. It really is great. And if anyone else wants to find out any more about it, they can contact either yourself or myself and find out more about it.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Well, I think, Hugh, you're the main man there. You've kind of been in it longer than I have, so I think you probably as well getting in touch with Hugh. But that's the thing too, you know, as we're talking about here, positive people, you have found a way to have multiple sources of income. And I suppose that's something if we want to talk a wee bit here as well, because that, you know, financial issues and problems, that's what brings one of the things that brings people down. So when people have the freedom to do what they want and be what they want because they have this, you know, a sense of financial freedom, it makes such a difference to people's like mental health, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, it certainly does. One of the biggest concerns is paying the mortgage, you know, being able to pay all the bills and things like that. And whenever whenever one partner or maybe both partners lose their job or lose their business at the same time, which in many cases happened at the start of COVID, businesses just closed down. There's one friend of mine who he had international businesses. He was working, he's an entertainer. He was working on cruise ships. He was doing weddings. He was doing private shows. He was doing kids shows. His wife had a beauty business, and everything closed down in one day. Their income totally stopped in the one day. And now he's in a position where he doesn't necessarily need to go back to doing the entertainment. He will do it because he loves it, and he has been doing it recently. His wife, I think, has closed her beauty business now totally because they're now totally financially independent through this process. And it's showing people that if you've only one income stream, as in working for a living, or even having a business that may close down for through no fault of your own, you're limiting your options. You really are. There's no Warren Buffett that said, unless you can find a way of making money when you sleep, you're going to work until you die. Most successful people have at least 9 sources of income.
Wow, 9?
Yeah, most successful people have at least 9. Okay, but the thing about it is, those that don't know so much about it have been conditioned to believe it's difficult to get into, and you need a lot of money to get into it, which we know is a myth. Now, there are ways of generating multiple streams of income where you start off very small and build it up. And there's very detailed courses on how to do that. I've actually just completed delivering a course this week. It was a 5-hour course over a few days. And to be honest, the money I charged for it, I've put towards the fundraising that I'm doing for the Foyle Hospice for doing the marathon in London. So, it's not that I wanted money for myself, but I honestly believe that unless you're financially invested, you're going to get, if you get something for free, that's the value you put on it.
Totally. Yeah, I would find that as
you
well.
Need to, you need to be financially invested in something like that. Even if it's a small token gesture, you need to be financially invested in something and then be committed to taking on board all the information. Thankfully, those that were involved in that group have all started building businesses for themselves. And it's great. It's great to see. It's great to see people coming on and starting, they become more independent. And there's more and more people realize the need for that since the start of COVID.
Yeah, certainly. I think COVID just changed everything with people, didn't it? There was just such a big turnaround of people's attitudes to life. We realized what's important to us. We realized that it's not all about the hustle and the bustle and the busyness, that we can take a step back. We realized the point of connection, how our loved ones and being connected to them and seeing them and appreciating time when we can spend time with them, how important that is. And even just doing those things like going out for a meal or going out to a concert or the theater, something, how treasure those moments, isn't it? It's like I'm running Joyful June at the minute, and it's about, this is, we can be joyful every day. And even just by doing the Joyful June and doing some of my wee 1-minute videos, it's made me realize, oh my goodness, you can be, like, I got a package the other day from my friend Sarah who does Tropic, and opening the package was just such a joy. So I just did a wee video of it. I was like, how many times now do we get a package and we're so used to getting packages, right? From Amazon, from wherever, packages coming all the time, that we just open a package. But you remember when you were a kid, like Hugh, when we were kids, you didn't get packages every day. Sure you didn't.
It was a big thing.
It was a big thing. So let's remember the joy of it. Let's remember the joy of opening a package. Let's remember the joy of, going out, for a swim in the sea. Remember, the coldness when you go in. It's your senses, just, I think Emer made us buns the other day, and I came down. I did a wee video on that of me. I'm not big into cupcakes, but they were my favorite cupcakes. It was a coffee one, and there was just the joy of like biting into this cupcake. So if we can remember the joy in the presence moments, things, the ordinary, it just makes life wonderful, doesn't it?
Oh, it does. It certainly does. Now, what I do want to say about the COVID as well is, there's varying belief systems about what is going on with the COVID, and I'm not going to get into it, but I'm not going to detract from it either. Everyone's entitled to their opinion about whether it's true or false or what we should be doing. But the fact remains, there were a lot of businesses closed due to the COVID, and they won't reopen. And what we've been doing is helping people get past that and build a future for themselves. Now, I'm not getting into whether it was right or wrong of the government that they allow this to happen or anything. You know, people are really entitled to whatever they believe in.
Of course.
But the facts are, it happened, and there's ways around moving forward. And that's what I wanted to get across.
Yeah. Definitely.
Right.
So before we kind of finish up here now, what have you got in store now for the next, we're living in the present moment and all that, but you always have goals and targets. Like, you're a great man for that, aren't you? Setting your goals and going for it. And do you do visualization for that, Hugh? Would you sit, and really feel it and visualize, right? So tell people about that. If people are like not familiar with visualization, if you just want to give them a wee.
Okay, well, I use visualization for my running and for financial future and for what I want for myself for the future. And what I do with visualization is I quiet my mind. I like to do it with a nice bit of relaxing music. I start quieting the mind, and then I start allowing my mind to wander. Just allow it to wander and see what comes about, and then I start focusing it, and I start wondering, and I start initially wondering, what would my life be like if money and time were not an issue?
Brilliant.
And I start focusing on where I would be, what I would be doing, who I would be with, what's going on in my life, how does that feel, what does it look like?
Yeah.
Is there any other sensations, taste, to smell anything? You will get a clear picture. Now, there is a myth that we all think in pictures and we all dream in pictures. That's not true.
No,
not everyone's visual,
no.
But you do get a sense of how it is.
Yeah.
So whether you can see it in your mind or whether you get a sense of what it's like, that's your own visualization. That's your own process of doing it. So for me, sometimes I just get a real strong sense of what's right and what's going to work. Other times I see it in my mind. Now, not too many people know, but I suppose I'm going to say it here now, so loads of people are going to know. My overall intention moving forward is to have a retreat centre, and I've chosen where I want it. I've chosen when I want it by, and I'm going to make it happen.
Woo!
And it's going to be a nice and a lovely spot. Where I've chosen is it's right on the water's edge. It's got its own private beach, and it's right beside a forest.
Fantastic. We'll need a positive party for the opening of that, Hugh.
Definitely.
Do you know anybody who does positive parties, do you think?
Well, I'm sure I could find someone.
Oh, that would be brilliant. Yeah, I just, when I was setting up positive parties, and it was like my whole dream that, because the idea, I love this whole about the law. I'm really kind of looking at the laws of the universe at the minute, and I love that the law of gender. And it's like when you have the idea, and the idea is planted, because I know the idea came in to me for for positive parties, like this training company that was going to be delivering workshops promoting, positive mental health, positive mental health, and using all the NLP that I've done, but doing it in a fun party style way. But I wanted this to go global. I'm like, this is going to go, I know it is, and blah, blah, blah. And I mean, I just checked the next day that, is there a website? And there wasn't. Nobody had positiveparties.com. I bought it straight away, and I had no idea what I was doing. And then over the next, and it happened to be 9 months. It was 9 months later, I delivered my first positive party. And I was always thinking big about this. And now we have our first licensee, and she's in Germany. And when I got my first, that she had sent me, like with the websites in German as well. And when I got my first leaflet her promotional leaflet, and it was in German, it was just so exciting. And it was like the idea had to come. And, of course, it was years later before it was in Germany, but it was mine. When the idea came in to start, it was 9 months and 6 days later when I delivered my first positive party. Brilliant. So I love that, how that's the law of gender. You plant a seed and it just doesn't happen straight away.
No.
Yeah. Fantastic.
But I know when mine will happen.
That's brilliant.
because I've actually set a part of the plan for the finances.
Yeah.
So going through the program I'm going through to build the finances is going to help get it there.
That's amazing. Oh, I'm looking forward to that.
It'll be good.
Yeah. So have you any other plans that you want to share that's going to be happening now in the next?
Well, apart from the retreat centre, I'm just planning on spending more time on the water sailing, more running, cycling, more time for myself. Time for yourself and those that are close to me.
That's brilliant. And then at the main and in the background that your income's coming in from this project.
Yeah, exactly.
What you're doing there.
You know, and also I will always have time for the men's group. And you know, I do hope that if there's anyone there listening today or watching on the YouTube whenever it goes on YouTube, if they do feel that they're in a bit of a dark place, that they can reach out. You know, they can reach out to me personally on Facebook, and I'll get them introduced to the men's group, or even if it is a female, there are people that I can recommend to that will help them. People like yourself.
Oh, thank you, Hugh. And the wonderful thing is about you too is like you're so inspirational. I've heard your story before. That's why I was so keen for you to get on today on the Positive People Show with it being Men's Health Week. And I think, you know, if somebody is listening or somebody knows of somebody who really is in a dark place, is in a dark hole and just doesn't know what to do, to be able to reach out and speak to somebody like you, and you tell them, like, I was there, but you know, I turned it around and look at my life now. You know, that's amazing. You know, that is amazing. And that's why I think people need people always to tell their story.
Yeah, but people like us that do tell the story, Denise, it's not to impress anyone. It's just to impress upon them that it can be done, that you can turn your life around.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a good friend of ours as well, Pat Slattery, and one of his most famous sayings is, "When is now the right time?"
Yes, yeah, that's brilliant. Totally, that's brilliant. Well, have you got any parting words that you would like to leave us with here on the Positive People Show before we finish today?
Well, being as it is Positive Parties and it is Men's Mental Health Week, you know, people would say, "Oh, keep on being positive, keep on being positive." What I would say is, take it a step at a time.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, positive is great, but don't always try and be positive. Be realistic.
Remember. And that's, you know, it's about having, I suppose, there's this brilliant book called Barbara Fredrickson about positivity, and she just talks about, you know, you know, and when I talk about positivity and I'm out delivering positive parties, I will say to people, you know, this is not all about, yes, we're going to be positive all the time. This is about being realistic. And when we feel, what we resist persists. So if we have feelings, if we have healing, if we have something inside us that we have to deal with, we have to deal with that. You know, there's inner child, there's like shadow work, there's transforming cellular memory. There's so much healing because there's things that have happened to people, and it's still, all of us, there's memories, there's triggers. Like how many times do we get triggers by things? And sometimes instead of just letting that trigger go, we have to sit with it. I did this brilliant thing last year. It was called Michael Brown, The Presence Process, where you read, there's this book, and anybody can get it online. If you look up Michael Brown, The Presence Process, he does loads of stuff on YouTube, and he has this book, and you did a 10-week program. You read a chapter per week, and you did breathing every morning and night. So you did this, like, I am here now in this for 15 minutes every morning and 15 minutes every night. And because you were doing this presence process, what would happen? You would get triggered along the way, and things and situations would happen. But what he would say is, you know, don't just you sit with that trigger. You sit with it, whatever it is, the anger, the grief, whatever it is, and you let it come up. And it actually came, if you sit with it and you really, 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 really feel it, it releases. It releases when you feel it, rather than you suppressing it and, you know, distracting yourself by going watching Netflix or something like that, or phoning somebody, or like taking a drink or smoking or eating, you know.
Exactly, all negative coping mechanisms.
You sit with the feeling, and you know this,
Yeah.
then the feeling can arise, and you're aware of it, and it comes out.
Yeah.
You know.
But what that actually proves, Denise, is there's not one specific thing out there that'll help everyone.
No.
But there is something for everyone out there.
Yeah. Yeah. But the hypnosis would have really helped too, people, wouldn't it? With blood, because you do the hypnosis, and that's what that does. Because I know I did a bit of it in my NLP too, and that's going back to something in your subconscious that needs released.
Yeah, it is. It's finding the root cause and removing the root cause.
Yeah.
And you know, there are a lot of different therapies and different things that deal with the symptoms, and that's good. It's good knowing how to cope with the symptoms and overcome them at the time.
Yeah.
But ultimately what you want to do is to get the root cause and remove it, and there are ways of doing that as well.
Yeah. And that's why I think when you start this personal development journey, you know, your spiritual journey, whatever it is, it's the inner work. That's the most important thing, to do the inner work, because you just can't close up, you know, you could say, oh, everything's positive, because it's not. You know, it's nice. And that's what I love about delivering positive parties. When I go into companies, public sector, schools, communities, I'm planting the seed. We're talking about having a positive mental attitude. We're talking about all the tools that can help you, but I am basically planting the seed and giving people resources that they can go then and use and do and go further, because you can't come into an organization too heavy. I'm just coming in with the lightness, with the fun, with the laughter, with the music, but it's planting that seed, which
exactly. And embracing the days that aren't so good, because how do you know you're happy if you've never experienced sad? How do you know you're positive if you've never experienced negative?
Yeah.
So you need a bit of a balance of both, but always go for the happy one.
Yeah.
The positive one.
Yeah, and it is too. You just sometimes you just have to be in it. You just have to. It is what it is. Sometimes, isn't it? And it's just recognizing that and staying in it. But I think it's that old thing of years ago. And I know when I was growing up, if you were feeling a bit grumpy or you're feeling a bit sad, stop that crying now, and you know, catch yourself on. You weren't able to feel your feelings.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, that was, our parents were telling us that, but they were doing the best with the information and the knowledge they had at the time.
That's what was told to them.
Now we've got a bit more knowledge and a bit more information, so we can do a bit better.
Yeah. Everybody does what they can do in the best of their knowledge at the time, isn't it? Yeah.
Exactly.
That's perfect. That's it. Yeah. Well, Hugh, thank you so much for coming on the Positive People Show.
Thank you for inviting me.
You are so welcome, and people can get in touch with you on Facebook.
Yes.
Yeah, and you have a group as well, don't you?
Yeah, the men's mental health group, that's on Facebook as well.
Right. Okay. And you also are on LinkedIn too, but people know where to find you if they want to get in touch about anything to do with coaching, to do with business mentoring, to do with hypnosis, to do with running a marathon, to do with the men group, to do with, you know, and then what would you call, how would you
the wealth coaching.
The wealth coaching. If you want to get and speak to Hugh about that, he's your man. All right. So thank you so much. And if anybody wants to get in touch with me, Denise Devlin at positiveparties.com. And just for organizations now, we're really wanting to get out there again. If your staff team just need a bit of positivity, you need some tools and techniques for your team, and we do it in such a fun way. This is what teams need this now. They want to connect again. They're like, they've kind of missed seeing their colleagues. It's people, I've talked to a lot of people who said they've just, you know, they've had enough of being at home now. They just want to get out there again. They've missed the crack. So we bring back the laughter and the crack, and plus loads of brilliant tools and techniques that plant the seed for people, so people can get me on. And if people are watching from the YouTube, with Positive Parties YouTube channel, they can subscribe to that as well. Oh, and I've got a Facebook group as well called the Positive People Community, and we put loads of tools and techniques in there. Okay, so thanks a million, Hugh. It's been lovely seeing you. Giving everybody a wave there, and we'll just stop the live stream now. Bye.
Brilliant, thanks.
Just stop the recording here as well.